Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be taking a look at the Bionicle Bohrok from 2002. We're going to build them, review them, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome to our channel, and if you've seen us before, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Bionicle Bohrok from 2002. Now, the Bohrok came into existence literally hours after the Toa defeated the Makuta in the 2001 storyline. They ascended up to the island only to find chaos. The Bohrok swarms had begun to ravage the island and were destroying everything. Each color Bohrok was able to perform different elemental powers. The Krana, which is located inside of the Bohrok, is what gave them orders and purpose. The Krana spelled out the mission and gave each Bohrok their role to carry out. Of course, the Bohrok Queens are the ones behind the whole operation of the Krana, but we'll get into that more when we do that set. The packaging for the Bohrok are these thin canisters. It kind of reminds me of the Toa canisters, except they have like a little bit of a stretch on the outside of them rather than just being completely cylindrical. And the graphics, we see the Bohrok, which of course is included inside, and there's also some other Bohrok of that species back just behind it in the shadows. I think that's a nice touch to kind of throw on the fact that they are a Bohrok swarm. We have the name of that specific Bohrok in the top right-hand corner, and then we have the Bionicle logo, ages 7+. The back of the packaging is actually quite complicated. There's a couple different images going on. We see 8 different variations of the Krana, and the only thing that's different between each of the Bohrok is that it is a different color Bohrok and a different color Krana on the back of the packaging. Other than that, it's the exact same images, and we even see a little hint of the Krana on a Toa. I wonder if it's Toa Lewa, since of course he was the one who got infected in the comics. Another thing on the back of the box I want to point out is that the Bionicle logo, the O, is actually the little hand or guard, whatever you want to call it, on each Bohrok. It's that specific one to the set that is inside. I think that's a great touch and a nice little personality to each one, and let you know, hey, we're not just changing the color of the Bohrok, we're doing a little bit more. Inside, we receive an assortment of pieces along with the instructions, nothing too special here. We do have 6 of these Bohrok to build, so let's go ahead and complete the base model builds. Alright, so I just wrapped up the Bohrok build after a total of 23 minutes. I have all 6 Bohrok here. Quick little note, by the time I was done like the second Bohrok, I think I built 3, 4, 5, and 6 without the instructions, because it's such a simple and repetitive build that you really don't need the instructions, which I found a lot easier because that build time plummeted. I think by the time I got to the last Bohrok, the last 2 Bohrok, it was like 2 minutes each. Very quick build. Normally, I'm not a fan of when builds are super repetitive. I normally think of that as a con, but these are much smaller. They're 40 pieces each compared to like the Rahi that were like 200, 300 pieces each. That is when I get annoyed with it, so when it's a bigger model. These, no problem. I think that it really gives this like look of, you know, they're these smaller enemies. They're a smaller, obviously more affordable, especially at the time they were released, set that we're like an enemy to the Matoran and the Toa, and I think that's a really great thing to do because, you know, the Rahi were really cool, but they were big sets. They weren't like the small enemy. Kind of said like, in order for the Toa or the Matoran to face a threat, it's got to be something big. This is a completely different feel from that. This gives a really strength in numbers type of look. I honestly don't even feel like I have all the Bohrok right now just with these 6. I feel like I'm missing a bunch because they're not like built out. Like if these were in stores right now for the price that they released at, I'd probably buy like 8, 9, maybe even 10 each of each color, because then it would just feel like a big horde of Bohrok, a big swarm. Obviously they are the Bohrok swarm, so yeah, having like 9, 10 of each of these, obviously with today's prices, that's just not possible. It was possible, but it's expensive. Anyways, another thing I really liked is the roll-up function. Now, I have them displayed like they're standing up right now, but what you're able to do is if you bend the legs and the arms and rotate them, you can actually roll them up in a ball. And of course, this is how they were kept in the nest before they were awoken. They sat in these little like catacombs, and eventually they bursted out of them. The main feature of the Bohrok is the ability to have their head strike forwards like a cobra, And I really like this function. It's something simple. It got some power to it. It obviously would destroy a mask if it hit a Matoran or a Toa in the face. But like I said before, it doesn't feel like they could overwhelm with one of each. It definitely has a strength and numbers feel to it, which I personally like, because with the Rahi, those felt like, yeah, one of these is a big deal. But with the Bohrok, it's like, you know, you got a bunch of them rolling up. Something I wish was different, but I don't think really can be improved, is the posability. Due to their center of mass, they really can't be posed in a lot of different ways with their feet opened up. I tried my best to kind of give us some different angles and some different positions, especially with the arms, but due to the little joint pieces and the fact that their center of mass is where it is, you really can't position them in a wide array of things. You can't stand them up tall or really put them down really low without them tipping over really easily. I wish that were a little different, but there's really nothing that can be done because it's just the way that they're built. There's nothing that you can do about that. Only other thing that bothered me was the rubber band color. The rubber bands are these thicker green rubber bands, which are great. They're much stronger rubber bands, and they're more durable than the ones we saw in 2001 that snapped rather easily, if you ask me. These are much different. I don't think these could break from any play function. Like, you could use them as much as you want. They might stretch a little bit, but they're never going to snap. That being said, they're green. I don't know why they're green on every single one. Why couldn't they have done like black instead? That would have been a nice little touch. Or like white. Green just feels a little off to me. One last thing I want to bring up is the Krana. I really like the Krana. They're very contrasting colors, and it matches the eye color, of course. Very contrasting colors to the Bohrok themselves really makes them stand out, especially behind those little clear shields. I think that they're great. I only got 4 of the 8 variations out of these 6 Bohrok, although I'm not really that concerned with the shape of the thing. I'm really fascinated. Like, it's like this creature. It's alive. The Krana have life. They're not lifeless little things inside the Bohrok. They function as seen in the comics from 2002. So I think this is a nice little spin on something we saw. Like 2001, they had the infected masks. 2002, we got Krana, and even without the Krana, the Bohrok, it's not like they're great. Like, they can be tamed without the Krana, but you know, they're still at heart a vicious and attacking nature. The Bohrok are able to form combinations called the Bohrok Kaita, obviously very similar name to the Toa Kaita, and the Bohrok Kaita is a morph of 3 Bohrok, and what's able to happen here is then the Bohrok Kaita can use all 3 of those Bohrok's elemental powers, and it also has some beefed up armor and defenses. What we're going to do is break these 6 Bohrok apart and build the 2 Bohrok Kaita that are included with the instructions. Let's get started. Alright, just finished up the Bohrok Kaita, in total 25 minutes, which is about 2 minutes more than what it took for the Bohrok. This, of course, is expected because it wasn't pumping through the same builds over and over, so yeah, it took a little longer. Now, as for the models, I think they're pretty cool. You know, I'm not over the moon about them, but they are pretty nice. I must say, when I started building them, the instructions start off with the legs, and when I was building this section, I was immediately thinking, this is just like the Toa Kaita. This is going to be a really stale build. You know, this is not going to be good. I ate those words rather quickly, because once you got to the waist up, obviously it's different pieces, but it was a little bit of a different style too. Yes, it's still the same concept, 3 of them morphing together to make a very big one. However, I felt like it wasn't super like the Toa Kaita, and I really appreciated that. Furthermore, they absolutely look just bulkier, bigger, more armor. That absolutely comes off immediately when you look at it, especially this one here is very, it's like jacked almost. It's got very big features, and I think they nailed that, making it look much more powerful. If I compared this to the regular Bohrok, I'd be like, yeah, regular Bohrok, you know, you flip its mask up, take the Krana out. These guys, not so much. They definitely look like a much bigger threat, and I would love to see, I don't know if there's any canon showdowns between like them and the Toa Kaita, because that would surely be something to watch. It's going to be like a Godzilla Kong type of thing. I also feel like I should note that they're not identical. They definitely shake things up a little bit from model to model, and mostly above like the shoulder area, you know, we have different chest pieces here and a little bit different armor plating here, but this one's definitely taller. That's the first thing that you notice, is that this one is taller, but his arms look bigger too. He's got some thicker shoulders. This one has like a little bit of an interesting design, like some little horns sticking up by his shoulders. I think that was nice, but this one they do shake it up enough so that while you're building it, it's like, you know, at first when you build the legs, they're identical, but once you get past that, it's really refreshing when you build the second one. It's not dry at all. A small detail that I found pretty funny is they have a spare Krana sitting on their waist. It's rubber banded in. And so what happens is if they lose the Krana from that's up in their face right now, they can like reach down, grab it, and like slap it on their face, and bam, they got another Krana. So you almost have to defeat the Bohrok twice. There was also spare rubber bands for each of these, so I wonder why they didn't choose to put, you know, another spare Krana somewhere else. You know, why stop at 2? You know, why not take all 3? Where is the third one? Because if 3 Bohrok combined, there should be a third one. The one thing that I'm not a big fan of with these models is the fact that the legs are rather, I guess, restricted. They really don't move that much. They're really hard to get even so that you can even stand the model up. And this is kind of like how we were with the Toa Kaita. These are a little bit different. These are a little bit harder to stabilize. And, you know, I don't even want to try moving these legs. I kind of just like them how they are. You know, trying to maneuver them or like bend them, it's just not going to really work. So I wish there was a different way they did that. It looks like they were really trying to just get them to look like that Kaita. You know, the legs morph together. You got the 2 limbs, thicker legs, and that's great and everything, but don't think they should have sacrificed so much playability as they did just to achieve this look. Like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of these models, but I do think that they're pretty cool. They're nice combination models. I'm not like, they're nothing I'm gonna remember, but it was nice that they didn't stink, put it that way. Overall, for the Bohrok, you know, pretty cool sets. Nothing that jumped out extremely high at me. I really liked how they're progressing with the villains of Bionicle. It's like at first they're like these big Rahi, now they're much smaller threats, and we'll see further on down the 2002 line that there's actually even smaller threats than the Bohrok. And I just like that they're kind of going a different route in this way. I guess they went in 2002 a different route, but I like that they shake it up a little bit. It would have been easy to make another bigger Rahi or a different type of Rahi, but these are just these like machines, and I really like that direction that they took with the Bohrok. In terms of price, what we're looking at is a very big difference between used and new. Used, you can get a Bohrok for like $10 used each, but new is going to soar. It could be anywhere from like $40 to $70, maybe even more. It just depends on which color you're going with. But used, they're like $10 each. There's not a whole lot of big differences there, and some of them are dropped down to like the $7 each. So just go used if you're going to buy these. There's really no reason. Like I said, the rubber bands don't really wear out, or at least they don't seem like they're going to. They're very strong, and I wouldn't be concerned with any of the other pieces in this set. So definitely just go used, and you could buy like 5 of one color for the price of 1 new. Think about it that way, it's a no-brainer. As for a score, I'm going to go 8.0 on the Bohrok. Like I said, nothing super crazy, but I did really enjoy them. I like how they're shrinking the villains down, and that to me, it just creates a better storyline. Not a better storyline, but a nice progressing storyline. You know, the Toa have faced these big threats. These were a nice way to shake it up and make them much smaller and in bigger numbers. So 8.0, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a nice thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also, be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.